Hi, beautiful human. I'm Zach. That's Santa. Welcome to the studio, Ryan Guzman.
Yo. Thank you, guys. Thank you.
TV star, eh? Movie star. I mean, dude, you have a lot of projects under your belt.
Thank you.
But none like 911.
No. 911 is its own beast, and I'm so grateful for this show. It just happened out of nowhere, mind you. This is like a blessing from God. I didn't audition for the show, and it got offered to me straight.
Wait, can you explain that story to me? Because you joined a show that was already up and running, kind of a behemoth.
Yeah. Huge success, came out of nowhere. I believe, I don't know if this is completely correct, but I believe that I auditioned for a Fox show months prior. I tested for that show, didn't end up going with that show, but I think they kind of kept me in circulation and then just used whatever I did in the test to kind of audition for this show. So I guess whatever they liked, the Fox heads, whatever, decided, yeah, we'll give them a shot.
At what moment did you realize that this show is unlike anything else you've ever done?
I think when I was on it.
Like making it?
Yeah, honestly, I had no clue what the show was. I don't really watch TV in general, and I try to stay away from the TV when I'm at home. But Tim Minear brought me into his office. He gave me a bunch of DVDs. And nobody watches DVDs anymore, but I had to go get a DVD player real quick, put the DVDs in, and watch one episode by the next. And it was a really captivating show. I liked the cast. I love that Angela Bassett was attached to it. Peter Krause was attached to it. Aisha Hines, all the great actors and actresses. And as I'm filming, I'm having kind of like an outer body experience. I'm like, I don't know how I ended up here, but let's just try and keep on going. Let's just see how long. Because originally in the contract, it was like, we'll take you on for the first episode. And if we like you in this first episode, then we can continue. But if we don't, it was nice knowing you. So I didn't know if I was going to stay or not, to be honest, the first episode. And luckily things worked out. Here we are.
And when you say like you, it's more than just liking your character, right? It's like liking you as a human being. It's ensuring that like you add to the flow of this set.
That's the biggest thing.
Like you don't hold anybody back.
Yeah.
You don't need to do an extra take that's not asked of you.
Yeah, and technically they don't need me. I mean, they were already running. So I'm like, please, I need a job. I just found out that I was going to have my first child right before getting this big project. And so when I found out, I was hoping to God that this one episode turns into season 8. And by the grace of God, it did.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
At what point do you realize that at what point do you actually know this character, though? Like, when do you realize you know Eddie?
I think this season. It took me 7 seasons, but this season I have Eddie down. It's just, let's just say the last 6 seasons were backstory and giving me opportunity to pull from so many different good textures of the character. And I think the transition from Fox to ABC kind of gave us a new resurgence. So it allowed for me to kind of just wipe away what I had done prior and get a new slate. And in that essence, it gave me a breath of fresh air. And I allowed myself to just take on this show as if we were just starting season 1, going from Fox to ABC. And then within this last year or two, I don't know, something clicked. And I just feel really at home with the character in any scenario. So whether it be, a very dramatic scene or a very humorous scene, it's just fun now.
How do you prepare? Do you remember, like, do you memorize your lines on set? Do you memorize your lines before you get there? Do you have a process, really?
Yeah, we had to learn. There's a Ryan Murphy way of filming TV shows, and Tim Minear always kind of jokes about this, but his joke is you'll get the script on Monday, and Monday never comes. So it's like we are just kind of waiting for the script this whole time, and then finally we show up, and here it is, learn your lines. It's almost like soap opera. So you have to learn these dense things, these dense scenes, in a matter of a night or so, or maybe a day if you're lucky. And I think knowing the characters so well and having the scenes behind us, I feel more comfortable in that scenario. Prior to this, first season, second season, I was kind of freaking out a lot of dialogue. You're not sure if you're going to stumble over your dialogue, let alone say it correctly with the right intention or any kind of emotion behind it. But I will say this. My co-star, Kenneth Choi, and I've said this in so many other interviews.
He's so great.
He's an incredible individual. I call him a brother for a reason, but he kind of pulled me to the side and told me, get my act together. Like, you have such incredible talent. You have opportunity at your front door, but you're not putting in the work. So it made me retransition and go back to being just a student of theater. So I started reading a lot of books. I started understanding different techniques and trying them out. Whether they worked or not was just going to be kind of a trial by error kind of deal. And then that season, those next 2-3 seasons, I found something that worked for me. And it's finding what am I saying beyond the words? It allows me to just live through the words a little easier. It's not, a lot of us will say certain things, but we don't really mean what we say sometimes. We actually mean something else, and we're trying to read between the lines, and that's what makes the character so interesting, is I might be saying, I'm fine, but I'm really pissed off inside. How do I showcase that to where the audience knows, I've been there before. No, he's not fine. That's the trick in it.
Easier said than done.
Yeah.
Is it a muscle?
It is a muscle, like anything. Try. I think Denzel said it. You'll get good at anything if you just keep on trying at it. Whether that's being lethargic or whether that's studying lines and trying to get more character work. And that's what I feel like I've been trying to do. I kind of go moment by moment basis. I don't try to judge myself too hard like I was when I was younger. I'm a little older now. I have a little bit more wisdom on my side, and it allows me to just really take a breath before I move and find intention in my movement. So knowing that, I take that into my acting. I really just try and be as truthful as I possibly can to the character.
Do the fans play a process, at least in the attachment to like every little detail that this character embodies or brings to life? I mean, they watch every little thing.
Oh, yeah.
And they're, to your point, like, moving from Fox to ABC gave the entire show like a breath of fresh air.
Yeah.
But also new life.
Yeah.
And fans louder than ever.
Yeah. We love that. The audience participation is something that we obviously in the industry want to encourage. If they're not saying anything, you're not doing your job correctly. You want to kind of be provocative in a way. But what they do with the storylines and what they attach themselves to is completely their own. This goes for everything and everyone in the world. People will see what they want to see. So whether it's, taking some kind of piece of a scene and being like, oh, I think that's, led up from 3 seasons back, or just kind of seeing the characters for how we're portraying them or hopefully portraying them. It's all up to the audience, and we love the fact that the audience has been kind of growing with us. It's kind of like we've curated this family with this audience, and it's not just America, it's around the world now, so it's nice.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Dude, they do. They create storylines that may or may not exist. And in cases like they do, like maybe like nuanced, very, very tiny.
Yeah.
Whether intentional or not.
Yeah.
But they take it and they run with it.
It's fascinating. They're storytellers themselves. So what
Eddie and
better
Buck?
way?
Come on.
Well, sorry, what'd you
Eddie
say?
and Buck?
Eddie and Buck. That's a huge one. A lot of people, we have such a massive following with that. And it all started from, I think it was season 2, like Eddie and Buck were walking down and we kept on bumping each other's shoulders. So somebody picked up on that, and that's where it just kept on growing and growing and growing and growing.
Like, again, intentional in that moment? Or?
No, it's just because Oliver doesn't know how to walk straight. That's it. And mind you, like, for seasons he's done that, and I think it was 3 seasons ago, haven't eaten today. We were doing a scene, and we're walking towards the same way, and he's doing it again, and I had to actively, work against his little push that he does, so, but with the audience sees that, runs with it, We encourage it.
It's
Yeah.
cool when they're. I mean, very few shows are active like that, and I also think that like it's. I don't know. It's really cool. It's been a while since I've seen like this active of a fan base around a TV show that's on network. You know,
We're a dying breed.
totally.
Yeah. So it's like,
What?
I don't know how we're still in the air and how we're being successful. And
And it's expensive to do,
it's
right?
a very expensive show.
I mean, you've been put in a lot of physically demanding and crazy positions.
Yeah. We, me and Oliver like to talk about one specific one where we were on top of a fire engine going about 40 miles an hour, 30 miles an hour. And we're tied in, mind you, with just one little thing on the waist and tied in straight to the fire engine. We're on the top. As we're reaching out, we're trying to grab this dummy that's flying just outside the back of an airplane. So it's like a Tom Cruise moment. And we're just kind of looking at each other like, this is everything we've dreamt of. As like, I know we're not action stars, but this is as close as we're getting right now.
You kind of are, yeah.
Kind of, yeah. So there's so many elements of 911 that kind of check off the box as an actor. You know, again, we get these dramatic scenes, these very heartfelt scenes. And then we get these crazy action scenes. So I love it.
Do you believe your character is like ripe for a kind of like new chapter? Because at the end of this last season, it kind of ends that way.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, there's a mustache removal.
R.I.P. mustache.
There's looking for houses in Texas.
Yeah. We have some stuff in store for you, actually. Obviously can't say anything, but Tim and I have been in talks, and we have some new stuff coming up in the latter half of this season.
Yeah, because we have a new season coming, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's coming in the spring.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be here in March.
Yeah.
I mean, is there a possibility that Lone Star is in your future? Or Eddie's future?
I don't think so. I don't know. That would be a Tim question. But I've always said that, you know, I love the way Lone Star was shot. I love the coloring of it. I love the characters. And I wouldn't be opposed to going right back to Texas.
I mean, you're Texas.
I am Texas.
You're from Abilene.
Yeah, I'm from Texas. So we'll see. I don't know. I think they're doing a new spinoff, 911 Hawaii, if I'm correct.
Cool.
Yeah.
Sick.
So I think that's the place to go. And honestly, if it's between Texas or Hawaii,
You're going to Hawaii?
take me to Hawaii. Yeah. You know, I love the 118, but Hawaii calls.
Dude, it's been a long time since we've seen like a new franchise like this be born, and I love it.
Yeah, it's surreal. Me and Kenny always have this conversation that we're actively living in our dreams. It's like we young kids dreaming of being, you know, this thing on TV and well, for him specifically, because he wanted to be an actor most of his life. I never did. But now that I've stepped into this 14 years later, it's just kind of like, whoa, it's one thing to dream about it. It's another thing to live in it and then actually be grateful for what you have. And that's all we want to stay is we want to stay grateful in this dream and keep it going as long as we can.
You really started as a dancer, right?
No, I started as a mixed martial artist.
Oh, yeah, you Taekwondo.
No, MMA.
What the fuck? You did Taekwondo when you were younger, no?
I did. So I got my black belt when I was 10, and then I fought when I was 19 or 20.
Hold on.
Yeah.
You got, okay. You got your black belt. Do you need a black belt to start like doing MMA or actually fighting?
No,
No,
not anymore. I feel like most kids nowadays are so. I was just talking about this with my friend that UFC has transitioned to something so different now, and the kids nowadays have so much opportunity, more opportunity than I did when I was a kid. It was very cut and dry. It was like, here's jiu-jitsu, here's wrestling, here's Muay Thai, here's Taekwondo, there's karate, but we don't mix them.
got it.
Now, all the kids have the ability to be under one MMA gym and learn all of those. So I started off with Taekwondo just because I wanted to be Bruce Lee when I was a kid. And after I got my black belt, I believe I was sparring with my sensei, my master, and I was getting ready for a tournament, and he broke my hand. So that made my dad be like, all right, do you want to continue this or you want to do baseball? And at the time, I was doing really good at baseball, so I was like, I don't do baseball. So I went back in and out of fighting, and then in my college baseball years, it's when I went right back into fighting. And I think I joined an affiliate with American Top Team, started learning jiu-jitsu a little bit more, wrestling, kickboxing. And then I signed with Dave Huckabee, who was a King of the Cage champion. I think he was 8-time champion, heavyweight champion. And that's when I actually started my fighting career and started fighting the MMA octagon.
But okay, how do you get into TV? Like, you're in Step Up, you're in
Yeah.
a bunch of random stuff.
Yeah.
Is that happening parallel to this, or is it
Kind
after?
of. So I was modeling and fighting at the same time. I was fighting in Sacramento and modeling in San Fran. And I got offered a modeling gig out in LA. And while I was in LA, I said, can you just hook me up with some other agencies out here? I would love to change in pace. I'd just gotten done with my last fight. Didn't go the way I wanted to go, and it was for a belt, and I was really down. So I needed just to change of pace. Came out to LA, signed with Wilhelmina, I believe. And from that, I got put into a model's apartment where I paid $1,200 to live in a one-bedroom with 5 guys.
What?
That was roach infested and nasty as can be. I was sleeping on a couch. Yeah, duct tape couch.
Ew.
Yeah, I remember bringing my mom and dad out, and I was like, "Well, this is my bed," and I could just see both of their faces being like, "You fucked up. You need to go back to SAC." Anyways, cut to. I saw somebody else get into acting that was a model, and I just kind of thought, I'm competitive. If you can do it, I can do it. So let me try it out. I auditioned for a manager, the manager I still have today. And then within 2 to 3 months, I booked Step Up.
Wait, that's amazing.
Thank you.
With no dance experience.
No, I mean, we would freestyle, we call gigging up in Sacramento, like Bay Area dancing, like that kind of stuff. But no formal training, no choreo training. And I went through a long process for Step Up. It was a 1.5-month process, about 8 or 9 auditions, 4 or 5 acting, 4 or 5 dancing. And, no acting experience, so I didn't know how dancing, acting, I'm trying to learn it at the same time, but I'm just trying to fool these guys in front of me enough to give me the job because I don't have any money. I don't have any direction. I just want to outwork the individuals in front of me. And that's where I think it showcased that hard work will beat talent any day.
It's true. Hard work and consistency.
That part, yeah.
Dude, showing up's really hard, but
Yeah.
see what you got to do.
Those days actually are some of my fondest memories. I love that, there's something about poverty that really lights the fire,
It's so true. That and age.
That and age, yeah. Age was not on my side at the time.
You're not that old now.
No, 37 is pretty good. But I've done a lot within those 37 years. And at 22, 23 years old in L.A., I actually just did a photo shoot, and one of the photographers knows one of the guys that I lived with in that one bedroom with 5 guys. And it was refreshing because when he called, he said, "Oh, yeah, so Ryan was always unique because for the fact that while we would go party, he would be reading books or studying scripts and at that time, I didn't have enough money for paper. So I would use the same pieces of paper to write down scripts and then just invite 4 or 5 people over and say, hey, you got to read this with me. I got to work on my acting. So I'm just trying to hustle and outwork the individuals.
And it works.
And it worked.
It really fucking worked.
It worked, yeah.
So, are you grateful that you stopped fighting?
Well, I still fight.
I know you still fight, but
Yeah.
it took you losing that belt
Yeah,
to push you in this direction.
it did.
And now you're fighting on you're fighting with a totally different purpose.
Yeah.
And on your own terms. And obviously you want to win, but your livelihood doesn't depend on it.
No. Well, it's a weird thing with fighting. Is again, when you don't have money on your side, you don't have people on your side, people are rooting against you, it's just you. There's this internal struggle and this willpower that you have to show up every single day. And in the gym, I was spending 4 to 8 hours. That's conditioning and weightlifting, learning whatever martial art, sparring, and then doing it all over again. So it's grueling stuff. But there was a drive in me that was just I want to make it to the UFC. I got to make it to the UFC. I don't care if I lose. If I don't lose, I'm a fail forward. And that's something you don't really get to have if you have a lot of money or come from a lot of comfort. So I'm grateful for the overall arc of my life. And yeah, looking back in hindsight, losing that belt was probably the best thing that could ever happen to me.
What do you care? Like, what are there any skills or traits or things that you learned while fighting that you apply to acting?
Yes. So I believe that one lesson can be applied to so many problems. And one of those lessons is staying composed under chaos. And to have that composure, you need to have confidence. And to gain confidence, you need to put in the time and the effort to establish yourself and work on the tools, fine-tuning the tools. So by the time that you enter that cage or you enter right in front of a camera, you feel confident, you feel cool, you feel calm. And I don't think a lot of people can do that. And just me speaking out loud, this kind of setting used to be some of the most like anxiety-ridden places that I would go to. Like any kind of like formal speaking in front of a camera where I'm not having lines in front of me, like I have to be me, there's a chaos that goes in your mind. So applying what I learned in fighting into this, it kind of allows me to take a deep breath and just be me. Feel confident in my choices, feel confident in my, conversation, my communication.
You're doing a great job.
Thank
you just got to
brother.
be yourself.
It's so hard sometimes to be.
do. Well, as an actor too.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you lose parts of yourself because you are an actor? Because like you pause like your own. At least I have friends that will literally pause their own existence and own development as a person to go and put themselves into somebody else, right? An entirely new character. So you stunt.
I've seen other people do that for sure. I don't know if I do that because I found acting is therapy. I've always kind of had an identity issue, being mixed race, looking really, really white, but, associating with Mexican and always being down for, my culture and repping that. I was never truly accepted by either side. And this is kind of like a stereotypical story for a lot of mixed race kids. But that does cause a lot of identity issues. So I think getting into acting allowed me to kind of like understand myself a little bit more through character work. And even 911, Eddie has allowed me to live in scenes or live in moments of life before actually living them in my real life. So it kind of gave me, again, practice to gain that confidence in my real life. So, no, I mean, acting has allowed me to find me, and I'm grateful for it again.
Can you give examples of how it's like kind of reflected into your own life? Is it the relationship with your son, Eddie's son? Sorry.
Yeah. I mean, that's one of them for sure. Being a father on screen before being a father in real life. You try to, on screen, just be as best as you possibly can, always being nice, always trying to. But there's moments when you're a real father where the kid's driving you insane and you have no opportunity to like take a breath or gain composure, and you still are being asked to do something that's selfless. So it's a lot of like, all right, well, what would Eddie do? Okay, he'd be solution oriented. All right, what has he done in the past? Okay, so that issue happened over here. Well, let's categorize that issue and do one thing at a time, and then slowly, progressively work on what I need to work on until I finally find my balance in whatever setting with the kids. So for me, it was, how can I better communicate with my children as if I was Eddie? Because I like the way Eddie communicates with his son.
That's cool.
Yeah.
It's amazing to it's really cool. It's just really interesting.
It's a weird thing, man. I will say this one thing that happened that was almost verbatim from one of the episodes. One of the episodes, girls come up to Eddie and start trying to ask him like, hey, they're showing their interest pretty much. And he's like, nah, I'm not your type right now, and he kind of just moves forward. That happened in my real life. I had just split up with my ex. We had just gotten a divorce. I'm trying to heal all my trauma and trying to, do what I can for my kids. And then a beautiful lady comes up to me and runs up and asked me, for their number, and he's like, no, you gotta please give me your number. And I don't know how it just came out of my mouth, and I was like, oh, I'm not your type, and I'm like, no way, I just said what Eddie just said. The heck, what am I saying right now? And outer body experience, but I pulled from my character, which is crazy.
And it worked.
Yeah, and she was respectful because she understood. I was like, I just got out of the divorce. You don't want this at this point in time, but I'm very flattered. Thank you so much.
Interesting.
Yeah.
You learn a lot from him.
I do. I learn a lot from all of my acting gigs. Yeah, whether they've been great successes, i.e. Step Up or Boy Next Door or movies that no one really has seen that I learned a lot from, like Everybody Wants Some with Richard Linklater. I mean, there's the catalog in there that I like to believe is my on-screen audition process.
Totally.
Yeah.
Everything leads you to where you're at, and you learn something from everything that makes you who you are.
Yeah. And the whole point is to enjoy the journey, right? Because as soon as the journey ends, it's like, all right, well, what do we do next? We got to find a new journey. And that's where I find myself just really, really, really enveloping myself in this journey, and so much so that I feel like I'm just starting all over again.
Does this 911 feel like it can go for a while? Like a long while?
It feels like it can go forever.
Right?
It feels like it can be another Grey's Anatomy.
That's what it's giving, dude.
Yeah, yeah.
It's so giving that.
Season 20, I'll be here talking to you guys about how Eddie is using his walker.
But will he be with Buck?
But will he be with Buck? I don't know.
I'd love to see that.
How was filming that scene where Buck told Eddie that he went on a date with Tommy? Did that feel like a natural scene to film?
What's Buck told Tommy? Say it again.
Buck tells... It's when Buck told you that he went on a date with Tommy.
Oh, yeah. I automatically thought about one of my friends who I was filming Everybody Wants Some, and he gives me a call, and he tells me that he's finally coming out. And it was this moment of like, I'm so happy that you're allowed to finally just drop your guard and just be you. Like, there's no more extra energy being used to portray something you're not. And I just took that and I used it for that scene. And I think it resonated very well because the feedback that I got from that scene was just like, oh, he's really being there for him. And that's what I want to kind of showcase with Eddie, that sexuality doesn't have to define a friendship. Just because you like to sleep with women, you like to sleep with men, how does that define any kind of humor or relation or connection with another individual? You just be you. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And if the fact that you have the strength to, in a world where most people would be, let me not speak on most people, but there's been a lot of history where gay men or gay women have not been able to live their truth. Here we are representing something so incredible.
It's cool to see.
Yeah.
A show I love.
Yeah.
By the way, you can watch it all. It's on Hulu. Link below. What are you thinking?
What was your first reaction to hearing about the B-NATO?
I obviously thought about Sharknado.
Yeah.
I was like, this is wild, bro. Are we running out of ideas? What's going on? But in typical Tim fashion, it's like you can question him, but it all works out in the end. And he knows what he's doing. There's a reason why he's had such a successful career. But it's funny, man, because you don't see bees in front of you as you're like acting. So you're like, all right, there's the bee NATO over there. And how big is it? Oh, it's going this. Okay. And then just look up and go, So it's those moments that you're like, I feel foolish, but you got to sell it. This is part of the job. And luckily our cast is such a family that we get to just really like fall into those moments with humor and lean in even heavier, which does make it sellable to the audience. So that's the real bread and butter of this show is this cast gets along so well.
The cast is exquisite too. You all are so talented.
Thank you.
I mean, you've obviously learned a lot as an actor by being put in these positions, by being around these incredible individuals. But do you learn anything about yourself?
Oh, yeah, like I said. I mean, so much reflective issues have happened with Eddie that I've pulled from. And, you know, the Catholic guilt thing was real. I grew up as an altar
Dude,
boy.
you were going to be a priest.
I went to the seminary for like a week and a half, 2 weeks, and I was like, no, thank you. This was great and all, but no, thank you.
What part of it really pushed you away?
How many times you got to go to church? I'm like, what is going on? And I curse. I'm sorry, like God, but like free speech. But yeah, I was a kid at the time, and I think what I was really doing at the time is I had heard my grandfather. He went to the seminary, and he was going to be a priest. He obviously wasn't, and ended up having 8 children. But I wanted to make him happy and proud. And I tried it. It didn't work, so went back, and I said, I'm okay with being an altar boy, you know, or being in the youth group and part of the Catholic Church. And then I had a falling out where almost over a decade when I was just like, I don't believe in any of this, you know. Religion itself is dirty, and, you know, seeing the other parts of religion that are not tied to the actual faith, it really, you know, set a bad taste in my mouth. And luckily, you know, events have happened since then that reignited my faith. One being a friend of mine was lost actually on this day, Stephen Twitch Boss. And one of the first times I went back to church was a celebration of life for him. So he got me back in. Yeah. Oh, man.
I'm really sorry.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry, but there's a bigger... To reconnect with your faith in a way that is, I don't know, gives you new perspective and new meaning.
Yeah. 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 And to do it in such a, I mean, his spirit.
Special person.
Incredible person. I mean, people have, since his passing, have just grown exponentially. And that just showcases, like, what he offered. I mean, even in his passing, his energy still emanates.
You feel it, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, yesterday and today, talked to him and just said, okay, let's be vulnerable. Let's dance, you know. Let's do something in your spirit. And you know, that strengthened my connection with God.
Grief is so hard and loss is so hard.
Mm-hmm.
But to take little things as wins I don't know, it goes a long way. But also, like, he's never going anywhere. He's still present and around.
No, there's so many people that, like I said, hold on to his energy and who he has been from day one when you met him to his passing was just a wholehearted, like, very wholesome individual. And you always just wanted to be better around him or try something new around him. And I think that resonates with a lot of the people that he contacted and are kind of forming the world right now. It's just, I hope there's more and more of that, and we kind of live in that space a little bit more.
It is beautiful that, like, he lives through everybody's actions and what they do and the path that they pave. He's a part of it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Incredible individual.
Yeah, 1 in a trillion.
Yeah.
Made a lot of lives better.
Did you guys meet on the set of Step Up?
We did. He was... I didn't know who he was, to be honest, because I'm new to the acting. I'm new to the dancing. I think I'd seen him once or twice on like a Wade Robinson show, but I'm so like out of my element by the time I get hired for Step Up. I'm just looking around, being like, who do I learn from? Who do I talk to? And he was one of the individuals. Is like, Goose, anytime you want to, you know, freestyle, work on your element, like, let's do it. So I'd call him up. I'd call him, Philip Shabib, Tony Bellissimo, Marvelous. They're like good 4 or 5 of us, Brandon Mitchell. And we'd go to each other's hotels and we'd freestyle for a good 3 hours or 2 hours or so. And that's after 8 or 9 hours. So that's the kind of individual he was. He was just kind of like, yeah, I did a bunch of work, but this guy needs my help and I get to dance. Let's do it. That connection was just strong as can be from that moment forward. Yeah.
What an intimacy you share with somebody when you're dancing in that way. And like also like there's no plan, it's just flow. It's like reading each other. Like that's a really different relationship.
Choreo is one thing because you can work on that nonstop. That freestyle thing is crazy, and especially if you're freestyling amongst the best dancers in the world. And we're talking about Steven Twitch Boss. This is not just like any other dancer off the street. So I'm watching him pop and lock, and I'm like, I don't even know how your body does that, dude. Please showcase that. Like, show me how I can get an ounce of that. And to his credit, you know, he would break things down, and it was like, it starts from the legs, Ryan. You kind of like do this and that and this, and he would slowly but surely work on it with me. But I don't know if there's another thing outside of singing that is more vulnerable to do.
And by the way, there's one thing to be great at something, but to be outstandingly extraordinary is to be able to break down why you're great at something and pass that knowledge on.
Yeah, the ability to teach. Simplicity, too. The simplicity in your teaching is something that can not only just attach itself to an older individual, but a younger individual. And there's a genius in that, I believe. So that's where his genius was. It was just like this essence that just allowed us to feel the ability to drop our guard and trust him.
I have real goosebumps.
Yeah.
Thank you just for sharing who he was with us. I really appreciate that.
Of course. Yeah. What a better day than his day.
He deserves to be talked about constantly.
Yeah.
Because he's around.
Yeah.
Oof. You got to watch 911 when you got time. It's on Hulu. You can catch every episode.
Yes, you can.
It's a great show. I'm kind of addicted to it. No, it's really good. I've been watching since the very beginning. I love shows where the worst possible thing can happen every episode.
We're here for you then. Every Thursday night, we're here for you, brother.
Literally.
We're made for you.
No, I love it. I just love to see the response. I love it's so good. And it feels, as true as it could be.
Yeah.
To how one would respond from an EMS perspective.
It is wild to think that out of all of LA, there's only one fire station that shows up, and it's 118. But we make it work. You don't question that ever when you're seeing the episode. You're just thinking, all right, here they go again, and here's the all-star squad.
Yeah, or I'm thinking LA's crazy. This is just going on in this part of town.
Yeah.
What kind of NATO's happening in Santa Monica, dude?
Honestly, bring us everywhere. We pitched so many ideas as far as bring the 118 to England or bring the 118 to Jamaica. And
you guys just want to travel.
We just want to travel first. It's been 8 seasons. But it would be nice. It would be nice. I know there's disaster everywhere. Let's cure the world with 118.
Well, you guys have done some crazy, the cruise ship thing was a crazy set.
Oh, yeah.
There's been some extraordinary television created.
Yes, and that was actually, I believe, the biggest gimbal ever made in our industry. And when you get there, I saw it once, but it was probably 4 or 5 stories this way and this way, and they could rotate it just so you could see kind of how they in the tsunami, or was it a tsunami, or was it like a wave, or I can't remember what it was, but either way, the whole ship turns, and they were able to do that with this big old gimbal. And side story, actually, as they built the gimbal, Tim hits me up and asked me if I wanted to do a dance number in that thing, like Bob Fosse did, which I still to this day think would have been a great idea. But it would be dancing all over the walls.
Wait,
essentially,
sick.
Yeah.
Didn't happen.
It never happened. No, we ended up going with a different dance. Yeah, doing a Tom Cruise dance.
Yeah, risky business.
The risky business dance. Yeah.
Yeah. Pretty iconic still.
It's pretty fun. Yeah.
Is that the only time you really dance in 911?
I think so. Yeah.
Do you consider yourself a great dancer?
No. I think my friends are great dancers. My brothers and my sisters are great dancers. I'm just I like to consider myself an artist. I just like to throw paint on the wall and see what happens.
Is fighting an art?
Oh, yeah. That's why I believe it's called mixed martial arts.
Okay, touche.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll go fuck off, Yeah.
I believe, there's so much that you get to create in the moment when you have the biggest adversity in front of you. that's why the art form is there. It's handling this, let's say, for instance, I'm fighting a guy that's 200 pounds. I got to figure out, with my movement and my timing and my rhythm, how to create openings and gaps to where I can hit you and stop the fight and stop you from hitting me. So there's so many technicalities within fighting that I believe it's more psychological than it is physical, and more spiritual than most people would think.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Because to get that ability to have that intensity in your body but be relaxed is so hard to do. A lot of people, when they fight, they tense up their fists and their whole body's a little slow because everything is tense. But to really trust yourself, it's kind of like, I don't know if you watch Dragon Ball Z or Dragon Ball, like Ultra Instinct kind of thing.
Yeah.
You kind of allow yourself to let go, trust yourself. And no joke, it's happened to me quite a few times where I've felt somebody's kick or punch just kind of graze. And it's just like slow motion. It's like, and then I hit them and stop the fight. Yeah. Oof. It's pretty incredible.
It's like another level up from flow state.
It is the flow state for sure.
It is, but like it seems to be a little bit more intense.
I think the setting is intense for sure, but that flow state applied to painting, acting,
everything,
singing. That's why you get the great Muhammad Ali doing boxing, or you get Pablo Picasso doing his thing. It's like those two are both tapping into their flow state.
What's that feeling like when you end the fight with a knockout?
It's incredible. Oh my God.
It must be.
It feels different than what most people would think, though. Especially like one of my fights, I hit this guy with a knee. And then as he's going down, I hit him with a right hand, and it was butter. It wasn't like something heavy or hard to hit through. It just kind of felt like I just swiped right through him. So interesting, because most people would think like you're hitting a wall or something, but it's quite the opposite. When a clean hit happens, it's the hit that you don't expect that knocks you out, and that's what I did at that moment.
And how about the reverse? If you get knocked out, has that ever happened?
I've never been knocked out.
You've never been knocked out?
Yeah, I have gotten hit really hard. So hard, actually, I always tell this story, but the heavyweight champion, whose name is Dave Huckabee, we were getting him ready for one of his fights, and we do this thing called Shark Tank, which is 7 or 8 guys lying in the cage, and each round, a new enter enters, so he has to fight somebody fresh.
Oh.
And it's all different weight classes. So I'm 40 pounds lighter than him, 50 pounds lighter. It was my turn, and me and him are going back and forth, and of course I'm faster than him, so I might hit him a couple times, but it just takes one. And he threw a kick, hit me in my jaw, and to this day, my jaw still clicks. But he hit me so hard, I hit the ground and popped right back up into my position. I've never been hit that hard. It was like a cartoon. I boop, boop. And I was like, what? So as I'm standing up, I continue to fight thinking like I never touched the ground.
Because it happened so fast?
Because it happened so quick. And he had to like hug me and be like, Ryan, you might want to go sit over there, dude. And I couldn't like eat solid foods for like a month. Yeah.
Was it a broken jaw, or what was the injury?
So I didn't have Medicare. I didn't have any kind of like insurance at the time. So I was just like, I don't know what it is. Hopefully it heals. And I still don't know. I mean, I got checked out at the dentist like a year later, but he's just like, looks fine.
Were you ever worried about the fighting career affecting the modeling or the acting career? Because some of those top guys, or even the younger ones, like their faces are pretty messed up.
Yeah, even now.
Yeah, I was up until one moment. And I was doing a runway show as a model. I really don't do those because usually they're like the 6'4", 6'5" guys. I'm only 6 foot. So I get there, and I didn't realize I had just trained the day before. And when you put your back against the cage, you kind of scrape it. It's like a cheese grater. So you get all these bruises on your back. So my whole back was all just black and blue. And I remember getting changed right in front of all the other models. And as soon as I took off my shirt, one of the ladies that was in charge of the runway goes, "Oh my God, what happened?" And I turn around, I'm like, oh, here, I just lost a job. I need this money. Hopefully I don't get fired. And I look back and I go, well, I train MMA and I did this. And they loved it.
Really?
Yeah. and they put me out there at first, and they're like telling the story of like, oh, he's a fighter too. So like they dove in even further. So I'm like, oh, okay, well, then I don't have to worry about it. So I'd show up with black eyes. I'd show up with like jacked up noses, and my ears would be all puffy sometimes. And
Do those same rules apply on really expensive major TV shows?
Depends on the show. In one show specifically, they made me write into my contract I couldn't fight. And for those 9 months, I was going insane.
Really?
I was just hitting the heavy bag. Yeah, I think I'd gained like 30 pounds within a month and a half. It's just straight muscle because I kept on working out and just eating like crazy and hitting the heavy bag.
Because you just had nothing really to do.
Yeah, I was like, I got to spar. I gotta do something. It's part of my life. I've been doing it for 20-something years now. So, and I never want to lose it. You know, I'm 37, which is giving me probably like 3 or 4 years left of actually fighting. So I want to take advantage of as the time that I have.
So you're going to go all in?
Oh, yeah. At some point in time, I'm going right back into the cage.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Yeah. Me and my friend were just talking about how we get that done, whether it be boxing or MMA. But it's something that needs to happen.
Which do you prefer? Which style of fighting?
I've been doing boxing for the past 3 years now, or 2 years. 3 years. But my love is always MMA. And I wouldn't be opposed, like if say for a Jake Paul, you know, or any kind of Paul, Logan Paul, either Paul wants to fight, I would do it tonight.
You'd box them?
Oh, yeah.
Would you win?
100%.
Why are you confident in that?
There's so many reasons, to be honest. The skill level, the time, the effort, the fight IQ. There's so many reasons. Plus, I'm not 58 years old.
When you watch Jake Paul fight, what do you think?
I think he's developed into a good boxer. But is he pro like a lot of the other fighters that I would like to think are actual fighters? No. I don't think he's a pro fighter. I think he's got some weapons. I think he's got a good team, got great recovery, and he invests the time now. After it being, what has it been, like 4 or 5 years for him doing this? That's a long, consistent time, so I will give him all that. So he's learned quite a bit, and there's something that you only learn in the ring. So, yeah, nothing to take away from him. I just know that I would beat him.
Logan, too?
Oh, yeah. Logan's way worse than Jake. The way I saw him fighting Mayweather was insane. Mind you, Mayweather is like, 45 pounds, 50 pounds lighter than him. But no, that one would be easy, really easy.
Jake, less easy.
Jake, I would have to put a little bit more strategy to. I would want to gruel him. I would want to make it a long, grueling fight. Or not even a long, grueling fight. I would just want to make it grueling. I'd want to beat him up and put him in some really deep water really quick.
Knock on that log. It could happen. Do it. Seriously, a lot of people knock on that log. They say things, they knock on it, it happens.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, if it happens, it happens. I'm here. He's got plenty of dirt on me if he wants to. I'll give it to him. That's not the game I want to play. I'll see him in the octagon or I'll see him in the ring if he really wants it. So, yeah, I'm here for it.
Cool.
Yeah.
Sick. Watch 911. Link below. It's all on Hulu. What are you thinking?
When people stop you on the street or see you in real life, do they see you from Step Up or 911? Like, which character do they know you from the most?
It's either Step Up, Boy Next Door, or 911.
Of course. How could we forget?
Yeah, and depending on the stare, I know which one it is.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
What's the difference?
Well, there's a certain stare that I get from Boy Next Door. They've seen one scene specifically, and it runs through their mind as soon as they see me, and I know it, and they try to hide it, but I'm like, I'm just appreciative they enjoyed the movie. Step Up, now it's kind of funny because I'm getting a lot, more so recently than not, oh my God, you were my crush when I was a kid. And I feel so old because of that. I'm like, how old were you when you watched the movie? I was 7 or 8. Oh my God. That's right. That was 12 years ago, 13 years ago. So, but lately I have been getting a lot more 911, especially when I had the mustache, because it was very easy to see and acknowledge.
I spotted you.
Yeah. But usually I really don't get seen too often. I don't get noticed too often. I like to stay under the radar and just have a normal life.
You guys do have that weird sort of fame where you're not like everybody recognizes you, but you're like you will get recognized, but you can still go to the grocery store and no one will bother you.
It's perfect.
Yeah.
It's so perfect. I would not want to be a Jennifer Lopez or any kind of like A-list celebrity. Like even the Jake Paul thing, like I would not want to be that kind of celebrity. I think it would take away from my very, this is what I value, my family and my friends. Having that is so sacred to me that I would never want to bring the outside world into it.
Is that a different world you see when you film The Boy Next Door with Jennifer Lopez? Do you see like
Oh yeah.
how crazy that type of life is?
That showcased to me that I don't want to be that famous. And I think a lot of individuals have it messed up and for me specifically, I couldn't discern between celebrity and actor. You have to actually get into doing all the podcasts, doing all the promotion, all the marketing. That's a separate job to the acting. So a lot of those individuals, the Kim Kardashians, all those people, they're great at marketing themselves, their brand. That's completely separate to be famous. And that's just not something that I guess I resonate with. So I'd much rather just act, get paid for it, hop on a great podcast every now and then just dip out, hang out with my family and my friends.
It's the right balance.
I think so.
Do you feel sexualized on a set like The Boy Next Door? Or
Yeah.
you do, right?
Yeah. It's a weird thing to talk about as a man because, a lot of people, you get eye rolls. I'm like, oh, you're dude. You must like it.
Terrible way to perceive it.
Yeah, and not just Boy Next Door, on plenty of sets, they'll say the passing remarks or something, and even to this day, but you kind of just roll with it, and if you want to give it weight, it'll take you down. I just kind of take it like, all right, that's your perspective, and thank you for finding me attractive. Great. So I try to take the good from it.
Totally.
Yeah.
Do you just kind of go blind and numb to the bad?
I don't become blind and numb. I used to when I was younger. Now I become aware, and I guess in the back of my head just be like, okay, now you've kind of shown me who you are, or what you are, and your intention, and I don't have to play into it. And I can redirect the energy somewhere else. So I don't have to live in that kind of energy. But thank you for sharing the information with me and allowing me to see what's going on in your fantasies.
I'm so sorry that you did that. So weird.
It is a weird thing to talk about. I don't know if I've ever talked about that.
It just, sorry that you deal with that, because it's also hard to work with it. It's the whole thing,
Yeah, but again, being a man, you don't really, no one cares. No, it's just like, okay, dude, all right, you're going to complain that you're good looking? Are you kidding me? What's going on here? Next. It's a weird kind of thing to talk about. And I would say this. Have you ever seen those videos of when Justin Bieber was like a young kid and like all the girls and guys, like they're all just like swooning over him? Yeah. And like, how is that acceptable? There's a certain thing that happens with men when it comes to this like sexualization that I think does need to probably get talked about a little bit more, but there do need to be some boundaries here. Whether it be man or woman, there needs to be some boundaries.
That's it. Like that. This thing isn't necessarily, just prevalent in one. It's not. It does. You know what I mean? It exists in all genders. All people deal with this.
We should all be just respectful, to be honest. At the end of the day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But also talking about it like releases the stigma, and I don't know.
Yeah, we'll see. Unless after this, I get a bunch of people being like, "All right, dude, so you're pretty, whatever." I don't know. I don't know what happens. Everything's the subject to opinion nowadays. So.
Sad but true.
Yeah.
Everyone has opinion. Everyone has a platform.
Yeah.
Everyone's got a podcast.
It seems like everybody has the answer, but who's really asking the right questions?
Amen. Think about that. I appreciate you being here.
Thank you for having me.
I appreciate you hanging and being honest, and you're great.
Thank you guys so much. It's been really a pleasure, to be honest.
Hey, guys, you're incredible. What are you thinking?
The
You
one
good?
last question I had is you touched on it like very early on, but is there a reason you don't watch TV? Like, is there a strategy behind that, or is it just not something you're into?
I wasn't watching TV at the time. I have watched a lot more TV recently. But at the time, it was just like, I don't have time to do this. I got to work.
Yeah.
And if I'm sitting here taking, hours and hours out of my day, I can't rely on talent right now. I don't know what that is. So let me try and figure out my acting. Let me figure out the next role. Let me figure out if I can write another script or if I can direct something and work on my art. Just whatever outlet that can be later on used to propel myself and be financially secure. Mm-hmm. That was where my head was at. Now, I'm in a blessed place. Glory to God that I'm in a great place financially, that I can sit back, enjoy Xmas movies with my kids and watch, not to promote another show, but Landman, like, Taylor Sheridan's shows are incredible. But yeah, now I see it as part of the process rather than working against me. So it has transitioned a lot.
Yeah, you put in the work. Now you can enjoy it.
Yeah, but now I'm also learning. I'm looking at these incredible shows and being like, okay, I need to change this if I want to be on this show, or, oh, that's how they did this. Maybe I should use that for my film that I want to direct. Yeah.
You can watch everything through an entirely new lens.
Yeah.
It's cool. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
911 is waiting for you. It's on Hulu. Link below. You good?
Yep.
No, thanks for being here. I really appreciate you.
Thank you for having me, man.
Ryan Guzman, everybody.
Muchas gracias.